not doing it. Perfect. Thank you. There we go.
I'm sorry, Janika, but I don't want to be recorded. I'm bad. I got a bad voice.
You are so going to be recorded. We need proof. We need all the receipts.
A proof. I'm here. Hello, everyone.
It's so much more than that. Hello, everyone, and welcome. We appreciate you joining us for our new year of workshops, coordinating to inform our state and regional colleagues. And I am Jonica Dreer, one of your chairs, and I'm on here with my other co-chair, Katie. And we're excited to connect with you. So Katie's going to get us started. Next slide.
All right, so in order to get us going, we would appreciate it if everybody could tell us in the chat what your name is, what state and regional you are with, and then what your position is on that state and regional board. I can kick us off. My name is Katie. I am the past president for Rocky Mountain AACRAO. Awesome. Looks like we've got Mezzacroa's president with us. We've got Kansas AACRAO's president-elect, Nebraska's president-elect. We've got Amber being a past president for UMACRAO. We have some AACRAO staff with us to help present today. More Mezzacroa. We've got Women's Caucus representation. Love to see it. We've got Florida AACRAO. Awesome. Thank you. Please feel free to keep engaging in the chat throughout. We'll answer any questions that you put in there, and we want to make sure that you're able to make connections with one another throughout the day.
Hey, Katie, do you guys keep a roll call just to like keep track of like who's in the various who shows up to the various webinars and stuff?
I believe we do get copies of the registrant list.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, it'd be great to share those. I'm sure Belma gets it.
Yep. Perfect. You can go ahead and move to the next slide, Belma. So we wanted to start off by sharing who are members of the AACRAO Board of Directors, just in case you don't know them or you're not familiar. These are the lovely folks that are leading AACRAO for us. And then next slide. And there are the rest of them. All right, we can move on. And I'll hand this off to Jonica.
I also want to take a moment to shout out some of our committee members for state and regional. We have 2 Ambers on there, so thank you for joining us. Amber Ovaska is one of our newest members, and Amber Salati is our past chair. So thank you for always supporting us and sticking it out. We got some great work to do, and we're here to support you. So who attended leadership meeting? Can you raise your hand? Awesome. Perfect. I remember seeing Brandy there. Yay. All right, so next slide. We have some updates that we wanted to share with you, and then we before we go there, we do have a recap video just in case you were wondering what happens at leadership meeting, because we do want to talk a little bit about that. So we're going to take a moment to watch our video.
You can connect with people across so many different states that you would not regularly interact with.
also is a place where I get to operate and interact and network with our leaders of our organization, our membership.
Since I started being a member with AACRAO, I've been able to make connections with just not colleagues, but people I call my friends now.
We work a lot in silos. I think we tend to in higher education. And when I step into AACRAO, which is I feel the safest community for me, I am able to exchange ideas with professionals at different perspectives.
I have really appreciated AACRAO's connection to help me understand the professional fully.
You can reach out to colleagues to brainstorm on a particular thing, or you could work together to present on something.
The networking, the professional growth, how you can do your job better. Able to get insight and gain knowledge and bring back to your institution or your position the knowledge base that you've learned and grown from just from hearing from your peers.
AACRAO teaches you how to speak and what to speak of and what it means for you. It is so easy to get connected and find people that are going to support you as a professional and support your interests in higher education.
As I've met different folks from AACRAO with different positions and things like that, it just helps sort of put a frame of all the possibilities of other roles I could aspire to with different titles and things like that.
What can I take back and embed in my work and improve my work and my service to my institution and my service to the students?
Being able to connect with peers from institutions, either like your own or others, there's so much to learn, and you build friendships also.
It is so easy to get connected and find people that are going to support you as a professional and support your interests in higher education.
People hear the word admission and registrar and think that's the only titles you can have to join. It does not matter what your role or your title or the work you do. We are in this space to help students succeed, and we're also in a space to help each of us in our profession.
Enrollment management is academic services, it's pretty much higher ed professionals.
You don't know what you don't know until you ask. And if you don't know to ask, then at least you're in an environment where you can hear and pick up on things that you can learn.
We can work as a community, as a source, a networking source, a source of improved professional knowledge.
Your knowledge is needed, it should be shared, so come on and join us.
Yay. All right, next slide. So one of the big things that happens at leadership meeting is it is an opportunity for state and regional leaders to join all volunteer leaders of AACRAO as well as AACRAO staff this year. So we had everyone in one space, and it was a dynamic meeting of the minds. It was a reminder of the strategic plan for AACRAO as well as our core values. And there were also a lot of updates that we've received regarding the opening up the rosters, ways that we can engage our membership a little bit better. And there were two that really stuck out for state and regionals that I wanted to bring to the table, because I think it's important, and not just myself, but leadership. We all think it's important that all of the state and regional leaders understand how their connection exists with AACRAO and the opportunities to continue to connect and build upon some of the resources and work that the AACRAO staff is doing, as well as AACRAO as an association. And so membership. We know that the roster is opened. I know sometimes we have questions from certain states and regionals about how do I get more members involved? How do I let them know that AACRAO exists? So this roster has proved some really, really great metrics for us. And you can see here where the growth has extended, specifically to strategic goal number 3, 28% of the new members of AACRAO, now that the roster has been open, has been in the area of kind of those kind of entry to mid career level roles. And I think that's important because it isn't so stacked at the C-suite and the managerial / director role. So we have a lot of potential opportunities to engage individuals who sit in the assistant role, the coordinator role, and the analyst role. Also new positions that we've seen emerge at our institutions as we look more at data and metrics. 30% of those individuals, I would say across the board, we got 30, 30, 30 pretty much. Records and registration, admissions and enrollment, and then student services, academic affairs. We're seeing a lot of individuals around academic advising also move into the space of signing up for the roster to understand how that connects to enrollment. 14% of new members are from community colleges, 15% of new members are from MSI, minority serving institutions. And this number is explosive, over 15,000 members in AACRAO. This is huge across, especially higher education organizations. So great work to us. And then the average roster size is 6.9 individuals. And again, that varies depending on the size of the institution. So 43% of institutions have added new members for free after the roster opened. And Katie and I were brainstorming some things that would help spur ideas. And one is a challenge to all of the S&R leaders is exchange, right? That was a big conversation that we had at the leadership meeting, was around this idea of having exchange and how can we encourage other individuals to sign up their, or I wouldn't even say sign up because we've been going through this privacy conversation, but how do we get more individuals to activate their exchange account and then get involved online? So exchange is pretty much our intranet of all things AACRAO. It's your LinkedIn that's specifically purposed to AACRAO. It's your Facebook that's specifically purposed to AACRAO. But how do we get our colleagues added to our roster? And then how do we also encourage not just the addition of, your activation or addition to, but how do we encourage your level of involvement? With that, beyond the challenge, what do we think about the challenge? Are you familiar with Exchange? Do you have any questions about Exchange? Can you raise your hand if you're familiar with it? All right. Perfect. Okay, good. So we got about half. And if you have questions, like general questions, or you haven't used it, can you raise your hands to let us know? We actually have one of our colleagues coming on today to talk about Exchange a little bit better. Some tips and tricks on how to engage it. So stay tuned. And then a question that we had that we're going to put inside of the chat is, how can state and regionals leverage AACRAO's growth for our individual organizations? So I want to give us a pause for a moment just so we can think about that question. So AACRAO's growing. We're affinity associations of AACRAOs, right? We sit as our own 501c3s. How do we leverage this massive growth that's happening with AACRAO, knowing that our associations don't have automatic engagement with AACRAO, right? Our membership rosters are completely different. But how do you see us leveraging some of that additional membership that AACRAO has? Any thoughts? Amber, I see your hand raised.
Apologies, I never unraised my hand.
I love that. Thank you, Diane, for partnership programs. What does that look like? If you can expound, or when anyone here hears partnership programs, what does that look like for expansion?
So locally, sometimes some of the things we do, we have like a state conference for State University of New York Registrars Association. We try to tack on a day before or after that to partner with some of the other colleges that we're in line with, usually the university centers.
I like that. Any other ideas? And we're going to continue to bring this theme back. So you're going to see some of these questions post in Exchange very soon so that the dialogue continues. Brandy wrote, does AACRAO have a couple of slides that could be included in our S&R new member workshop presentation? Ooh, this is perfect. So we have Paige, who's here, who is our official engagement coordinator. I think she could definitely work with a couple of individuals to make something like this happen. And I am going to click over to the next slide for a moment, Belma. All right. So before Paige introduced general engagement opportunities to us, I did want to share with you all S&R engagement with AACRAO that we already have. So there is, if you have not already been outreach to, there is a request for all state and regional board members to meet with, as a board, to meet with executive leadership for AACRAO. They wanted to review the S&R agreement for signatures, but also have kind of a fireside chat moment with state and regionals to make sure that we're reaching what is now strategic goal number 4, reimagining membership. So they're looking for different ideas that can help spark how AACRAO can assist our state and regionals a bit better. And then they'll share the results with the committee, and then we'll bring back and disseminate kind of some general themes to you all as well. But if you have not heard from them, or if you sit on a leadership committee, please do take down Tiffany's email and schedule your meeting sooner than later. So you can meet with Melanie Tiffany Robertson, who was also featured in the video that we just saw, as well as Tiffany Shu, for a dynamic discussion. We had a discussion with them as a committee last week, and it was pretty dynamic. They are here, they're listening. They know how important state and regionals are, so they're definitely coming to you to get some additional thoughts. And then we have a 1, 2, 3. So we're asking you to submit your best of best nominations. That's a great way to push segue into annual meeting. Submit your Ackerman Award nominations, which are if you are doing anything fabulous inside of your state and regionals that you think is unique, should be spotlighted or highlighted, please send that in. We can also promote that. We're thinking about turning in those best of best nominations and those Ackerman Award nominations, as well as the winners, into AACRAO Connect articles, right? If we have these 15,000 new members, how do we put some things into AACRAO Connect that can then say, you know, Ms. AACRAO is doing this and Rocky Mountain is doing this. And people will say, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that there was a state and regional for, you know, my particular area that I'm in. So we're hoping that we can create different lineages that feel more authentic than us just putting it out there and saying, hey, join what? Why should I join? So if we have some of the great things that you're doing and some of the best of best nominations, it's easier for people to connect to us. As well, please update your state and regional rosters. So this is an ongoing thing. So whenever you have your new board come in, please do come back to our website for state and regionals and update your roster.
Jonica, if I could add something real quick just about the best of the best. We had some confusion at the leadership meeting, so I wanted to make sure that everyone was clear. You can submit your best of the best proposal outside of the regular call for annual meeting sessions. I know a lot of state and regionals don't hold their annual meeting until after AACRAO's call for proposals is already closed. Don't worry about that. You can still submit for the best of the best scholarship outside of this regular proposal collection time.
Thank you, Katie. And we're going to be using Exchange to post those dates so that you know. So we'll be sending monthly reminders just so everyone is aware. Next slide. There was also a workshop that was facilitated, and we'll upload these slides to Exchange so you can review in a little bit more detail. But we had a keynote speaker who was Dr. Joseph Drayson, and his presentation was on the psychology of change, and it was phenomenal. Instead of reading exactly what I took away from it, I wanted to ask Katie if she had any takeaways from it. I know that Brandy was also there as well. So if anyone attended leadership and they took anything away from this dynamic presentation, did you want to take a moment to share?
I actually just quoted this presentation in the meeting I was in before this. One of the things that we talked about is, you can see it on this slide, people aren't necessarily adverse to change in general. They're adverse to the anxiety it causes or the stress it causes or how it might impact their job. And the example given was if you called a meeting tomorrow and you announced that everyone was getting a 20% raise, no one would react negatively to that change. So I really took away thoughts about how to communicate change better, how to be more transparent and get folks involved so that they're not so surprised or anxious when things are changing.
Any of the AACRAO staff, did you take any great things away from our change presentation?
I don't remember how Dr. Drayson phrased it exactly, but he had this line of, you can't change management, right? He was kind of critiquing the term change management. You can't manage change, but you can manage people's perception of change, right? And I don't know if that's the exact word he used, but that for me was really impactful because to Katie's point, it's not so much necessarily the change that they're reacting to, right? It's their perception of it or how it was presented, right? The anxiety that can accompany that. And that kind of helped me frame a new way of thinking about it, right? How do we communicate this? Could it be the other point that came out of that is their individuals' trust in the person, in the agent of change, right? If I know that this person who announces the change, I really trust them, I'm probably not going to have as much anxiety about it because I know I'm in good hands, right? So making alliances on campus, using your partnerships to communicate the change well, to make sure the messenger of the change is the right messenger, really are important. Those are some of my takeaways from Dr. Drayson.
I absolutely love that. We will come back in session, our session for August, where we are talking about branding, and part of that will go into change and auditing. We're going to bring this question back and this slide back and ask for more engagement about how we think emotional intelligence can influence our associations a bit better. So do stay tuned for that. Right now, our next slide, we do have two presenters. We'll come quickly. Our 110th annual meeting is in Seattle, and we are accepting proposals through September. So we did want to let you know that. I will post again this slide, but I'll also post this particular list of opportunities that exist for these are ideas that were submitted by individuals who submitted evaluations for the 2024 annual meeting as ideas for future conferences. So these are hot topics that would be awesome for individuals to present on as well. And I want to go ahead and give us room to bring in, yes, and the questions are inside of the chat, so feel free to answer them there. I do want to bring in Paige to speak to us about engagement and using exchange, because we are about to dive in all the way to it.
Thank you so much, Jonica. And I am Paige Selma-Boucher. I'm the Community and Volunteer Manager at AACRAO. So if you all ever have questions about getting involved, finding different things like that, you are more than welcome to email at exchange@acrao.org. And I will, or one of the other members of my team will help find you an answer. Jonica, would it be okay if I share my screen? Or Belma, whoever can grant me that. Thank you. Can you grant me access, Belma? So I will start off by showing you all a little bit about the exchange, and we can go from there. Alrighty. So can you all see my screen okay? Perfect. So when you log into the exchange, this is the homepage. From here, you can really easily get to the state and regional community. So for AACRAO members, just go to your All Communities tab here, and you can see state and regional. There it is, state and regional leadership. You can go ahead and select join. Once you've joined, it'll show up in your My Communities list. But in case you all haven't found your way there, I recommend including either the real-time or the daily, some sort of daily notification, so that you don't miss any of the wonderful updates from Katie or Jonica. But since I'm using a test user, I am going to mostly skip that. So this is the community homepage. You can see sometimes announcements are made in here. You can also find different resources that anyone uploads, and anyone is welcome to add to these. And you can share with each other if you all have different things that have helped your state and regional. Maybe it's a policy, maybe it's a guideline. Those are pretty popular items. You can see other people who are part of the state and regional leadership here and find them. You can connect with them, find their email. And then probably the most popular portion here is the discussion threads here. So you will see, like Jonica just posted something here, and you can open it up and navigate through there. You can like the message. You can easily reply to the message. You're more than welcome to start your own if you have any questions. Maybe you're getting ready for your annual meeting and you want some advice from other people about how they've handled the situation. You can always post that kind of question in here. And some of you may be saying, Paige, really, you gave me another thing I have to log into. And to that I say, you can adjust your notification settings to make it a little bit easier. So if you go to settings and you click on manage notifications, you can see all the communities that this user is in. And so if you select something from this column here, this discussion email, daily digest, or real time, it will come straight to your email, and you can reply to the community directly from your email. There'll be a button that says reply to group, and you don't even have to log in. If you're in several communities and you don't like getting a lot of emails, maybe the consolidated daily digest is for you. And so if you click that option, you'll get one email with anything that happens in any of the communities that you're in. And then it has direct links back to the discussion post that you can respond in super easily. For me, since I'm in like 30 different communities, I use this one a lot. And then for the ones that I really need to stay on top of, like our staff one, I have it set to real time so that I can use it basically like my email, make sure I don't miss anything. I haven't been looking at the chat. Is there any questions so far?
Can you just show how you got here again?
Yes, absolutely. So once you are in any community, doesn't matter which one, it's probably the easiest way. You click on settings, and then you can click on manage notifications. If you ever forget these steps, we have this quick link button on a lot of the pages that says how to edit notifications, and we have a video guide that'll walk you through it too. Takes a slightly different route, but click on that, and there you go.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I can pop that link in the chat there. It should take anyone to their specific page if you're looking directly for your notification settings. Other questions? Okay. You can also search for anything up here. So if you're looking for something maybe that was posted in the past and you don't want to, and you can spell it correctly, it just got to get close. You can go back and find some of the old announcements, posts, different things like that, and filter through that way. You can filter by a specific community. You're like, oh, I know Jonica posted this in state and regional. You can just click on that over here and see only the stuff from that about the annual meeting. In general, if you're also just curious about other ways to get involved at AACRAO, we have our Get Involved page on the website. So here at the top it says Get Involved. We have a list of different ways that you can get involved. So if you're an AACRAO member and you're looking to kind of participate in submitting more session proposals for the annual meeting, the professional activity committees could be a good option for you. Sometimes we have additional volunteer opportunities that we post. The caucuses are another really great option. They are also out of the exchange. So we have 7 different affinity groups there that you can join. Maybe you're a writer, and so you want to contribute to one of the AACRAO options for writing. We've got different things like Connect, as Jonica mentioned, which is a bi-weekly publication that anyone could subscribe to that has all kinds of updates, really. Sometimes you get, perspective, opinion pieces. Sometimes there's tips and advice from experienced leaders. It really ranges quite widely, and you all can submit anything for there. If you want to do something a bit longer, you can write for the journals. So we have a lot of different options there. We also have our AACRAO productions. So this is our blogs and our podcasts. You can also see all of our newsletters here. This is a great way to, again, get some more tips, advice based on kind of your area. We have stuff like diversity, admissions, more registrar based, more transferred, whatever you're kind of most interested in. And then the webinars is another really popular option because we have our old webinars listed up there, so you can go check out any of the ones that we've recorded, as well as see any upcoming ones and register for those. Yes, and then Jonica mentioned one of the big things that comes up a lot with state and regional is member clicks. And so the idea here is that you can, Jonica, I think you or Katie had talked about starting a thread, a member clicks thread, and kind of launching a lot of the questions there. If you all would like a hashtag for that to make it pretty searchable, and then anything tagged with hashtag member clicks would pop up and you could find it in the top search bar. That's also an option. Just let me know kind of what y'all are thinking on that. And so I'll go ahead and make you all that hashtag, and it should be a pretty simple way to kind of find it amidst everything here. So if you all have someone on your state and regional group who does your member clicks, feel free to go ahead and invite them, and they can join this community as well as an AACRAO member.
Hey, should we do hashtags? Because state and regional can be a bit broad, maybe attach something to it or come up with like a short list of options. Maybe it's leadership or conference or
We do
membership.
have quite a few already built in. I just haven't specifically made one for member click.
Gotcha.
That doesn't come up on our like main website quite as often. So that's why that one would just need to be created. But yeah, you can find any of them when you get in here. You just kind of start typing in. So we have leadership, and you can tag it however you would like. So any other questions? I know I covered a lot very quickly. Any links you want me to drop in the chat really quick, I'm happy to do so.
Hey, Faith, can you just join any group that you're interested in?
Yeah, so AACRAO members have a lot of different groups that you can join. You can see here, you can pick other options as well, including Bill, advocacy is totally an option that you can join and help support the work that AACRAO is doing, you know, beyond the walls of the office and out kind of with our legislature. And really working on behalf of the members here. So you would just, click join here. We also have a lot of other options as well. As you can see, as Jonica pointed out, we've got a lot going. Community colleges, if you're working on your doctorate. So
yeah, I was just trying to highlight the fact that, you know, just because you're in state and regional, that doesn't mean you're limited to state and regional, but you can actually and be part of many other communities.
Yeah. So this is something that comes with that any AACRAO member can go through and really pick and choose what interests them the most. And within some of these, people ask questions about a variety of topics. So some are a little bit more active than others, but yeah, they're a great way to connect with colleagues, especially because sometimes, you know, you may be the only one on your campus doing that kind of work, but you are not alone. You have people all over the country who can help support you. Thank you for the prompt, by the way, Bill. I missed it in my notes. I appreciate it.
And there's the forums are really great for feedback or just conversation pieces. And I'm sure you've covered this, Faith, but Paige, but you can get them immediately, or you can get notices on a daily basis, or you can get notices on a weekly basis.
Yeah. So, and that's back to that notifications. It's really about picking what works best for you, and kind of what fits with you all. In general, I tend to like the daily because it comes in kind of in the morning and I can just like scan through, see anything. But if no one posted, like I'm not just getting, blank information. So that's nice. Weekly can be good if there's just something you're kind of keeping a pulse on. Maybe you're not quite as active, you're just consuming the information. Maybe you're not quite ready to participate. And that's totally okay too.
Yeah, I would encourage everybody to go through all these different communities, and if nothing else, it helps you keep a beat on what's going on on the ground and what your colleagues are also like asking or thinking about or wondering about.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, I will drop my email in the chat here. So if you ever have any questions about getting involved, anything exchange related, feel free to reach out and we will get you an answer. Thank you so much for letting me join today.
Thank you, Paige. And that was a great segue because our next speakers are Bill and Mike, who are here to talk to us about federal relations updates. So I'll hand it over to the two of you.
Oh, we're the fun bunch. We're always got really good news, don't we? We are such the fun bunch. Belma, can you give Faith access? Can she be the a moderator?
She should be able to, yes.
Okay. Yeah, especially following Hill Day. Yeehaw. Let's giddy up. Yesterday we had Hill Day. We had about 27 advocates. We visited nearly 100 offices, and I would encourage everybody who's part of state and regionals to really think about being part of a participant in Hill Day. It's not only super motivational, but it's also extremely important for your state and regional, and it really helps bring home your own internal perspective. So Faith, you can go to the next one, and we're going to try to fly through these and just leave some time because I know we have only 20 minutes, because Mike and myself and Faith could spend a good hour and a half talking about everything. These are the areas that we covered yesterday: reverse transfer, short-term Pell, the double Pell, the FAFSA rollout. Yeah, Faith, you can't go over to Microsoft there. The DOL overtime, gainful employment, and the College Cost Reduction Act. If you don't know, there is bipartisan bicameral legislation that's already been introduced as legislature. Those are the numbers. It's on the House, it's HR, and the Senate is S. And basically what this does is create an additional exemption on the FERPA that would allow a 4-year institution to share with a 2-year institution education record, where the 2-year institution could do an evaluation to see if the individual would be eligible for some kind of credential. It still meets FERPA standard because the institution would then be required to reach out to the individual and say, hey, X, Y, or Z individual, we've completed an evaluation. You are eligible for X, Y, or Z credential, associate degree. Would you want it? So in essence, you still meet FERPA requirements, and you could not just give a degree. So that's one of the things that we've talked about. Working with the clearinghouse, there's an estimate 2.9 million individuals that may be eligible for a degree or credential that do not know about it. When we met with members, we gave individual numbers from each of the states that they met with. So if you're interested in that, let me know, and we'll be happy to share how many individuals from your state are possible eligible individuals for reverse transfer. And so at the end of every meeting, we always have an ask, and we requested each member to be as co-sponsor of either the House version or the Senate version. Tremendous feedback, lots of support. We look to increase the number of co-sponsors of that legislation. Moving towards short-term Pell, there is a Senate version and a House version. I think everybody agrees with short-term Pell. If anybody's been following short-term Pell process, it's left the House committee and went down to the floor. It was getting to get voted on the floor, and higher education killed it. Not because we don't support short-term Pell, but because of the offsets that the House version would have incorporated. It would implement an excise tax of 1.4% on all private colleges with endowments of larger than $500,000 per student. Also, students should be required to reimburse the amount back to secretary based on non-repayment loans. So if your student graduated and didn't pay back Department of Education, your institution would then be required to pay back Department of Education for those non-paid loans. For us, that's bad policy. That's bad policy. So we support short-term Pell. Everybody supports short-term Pell, but the offsets of how they're going to go pay for it, for us as an association, those are poison pills, and we would not support it. So our request next was to encourage members to reach out to representatives and encourage them to make corrections to the version that they propose, especially in the House. We also encourage the Senate to pass their own version in order to get the conference and reach an agreement that will benefit millions of individuals. That was our ask. Even on the R side, they totally understood that these were poison pills. Like, you cannot have institutions be responsible for debt that an individual doesn't pay back. That's a non-starter for us.
On Double Pell, AACRAO is a major advocate of Double Pell and is part of the Double Pell Coalition. So we are looking to increase the Pell Grant Award to $13,000. So we really encourage members to support this and to work with their representatives. The Pell Grants help 7 million low and moderate income students, and nearly 90% of all Pell dollars go to students with a family income below $50,000. And most are crucial to students of color and make a huge difference in their ability to pursue higher education. While we have seen some marginal increases in Double Pell, with the amount going from $6,495 to $7,395, we have seen that it is at the lowest purchasing power. So we really encourage these members and encourage members to work with their representatives to push towards doubling the maximum Pell Grant Award to $13,000. And we are wholeheartedly in support of this. We talked with a lot of members about this. Obviously, there are some questions about funding, but we're very sympathetic, and we're looking forward to trying to increase the Pell Grant Awards.
FAFSA, everyone's favorite word these days. Doesn't bring back any bad memories or anything like that. Not at all.
PTSD, Mike. PTSD, I call it.
So when we went to the Hill speaking with members, FAFSA was by far, I think, one of the ones that members were most interested in hearing from us, and certainly attendees were eager to express their dismay, frankly, with the situation. So Department of Ed has made corrections to the system. All known errors are now taken care of, but all eyes are on next year. There is currently a bill out there. There's I'm forgetting the exact HR, but there's a House version, the FAFSA Deadline Act, that is going to that would create a mandate that the department releases the form on October 1st. That's fantastic, right? We absolutely support the intention of that. However, that's just one part of the puzzle, right? If the form goes out, but all of the back end stuff, the information isn't being transmitted to schools, if we still have completion rates that are well below what historical levels are, right? What we're currently seeing, according to the National College Attainment Network, is that rates right now are about 12% lower than they were this time previously. What that means for states is, like, for instance, I was paired up with an individual from Washington State. Only 36% of high school seniors are completing the FAFSA in Washington State. That's tens of thousands of fewer potential learners filling out the form, potentially not going to college as a result, in a time where enrollment is already crunching universities. They're also being pulled in a million different ways with other regulations. So our ask to senators was, while we understand and support the goal of HR 8932, the FAFSA Deadline Act, we also need you to continue to work with the Department of Ed to make sure all of the behind the scenes aspects of this are also taken care of. I found, at least in my meetings and across the board, hearing feedback, people were sympathetic to that. Regardless of party, regardless of chamber, there was, I think, deep understanding from Congress members that we need to get FAFSA right. This is kind of, I don't want to put it in do or die terms, but this is the big issue for higher ed at the moment. Another issue that we spoke about with our congressman was the Department of Labor new overtime rule. They made updates to the Fair Labor Standards Act that increases the minimum salary threshold. This was, while by no means do I want to downplay the importance of this issue, this was kind of one of those, if we had time with the offices, we would get into this one. That's simply because while it, again, not to downplay the issue, it's not really AACRAO's wheelhouse though. Coupa HR, one of our sister associations, represents HR professionals on campuses. They have taken a leadership role in this. And their big ask, which we are supporting, is to, in light of the timing, right? This new rule is, it went into effect July 1st, the new salary thresholds. It's pulling universities at a time when they are trying to deal with FAFSA rollout. They're trying to deal with GE reporting. They're trying to deal with declining enrollments. You're now asking them to also implement these higher wages. While it's well-intentioned, unfortunately, I think the reality is for a lot of schools, this would mean probably cutting staff in order to meet those, in order to bump people up so that they now meet the new threshold, or would mean cutting out pretty much all travel, right? If you think about, if someone's now going to be an hourly worker and they travel, let's say I fly 6 hours to a conference, I only have 2 hours left in that day that I can work. And anything beyond that, I can't work anymore, right? Then I'm into overtime. So the last thing that I'll mention on this is in the new rule, they have a automatic every 3 years after July, I believe it was 2027. After July 1st, 2027, and every 3 years thereafter, the salary threshold is automatically going to increase. Historically, this has been something that Department of Labor has looked at every 10 years. So to make an automatic increase every 3 years was also problematic for AACRAO. So again, not at all, don't want to downplay the importance of this issue or the potential impact it could have on individuals. It's the timing, and it's crunching universities, institutions at a time when we felt they can't absorb that. They just don't have capacity at the moment.
Yeah, basically the way we look at it in our conversations is that 3 things are going to happen. You either increase tuition, you're going to lay people off, or you're going to minimize student support systems. None of those 3 are really beneficial. So we leveraged the FAFSA fiasco to also talk about the fact that gainful employment and financial value transparency implementation is going to be falling on, everything's going to be required to start on October 1st. Next one. We spoke about the fact that even the Department of Education has come out with the statement that they estimate that it will cost an institution approximately 400 staff hours in order to be able to get prepared for the submission of the data that is required for gainful employment and financial value transparency. Our ask was to please delay the implementation until July of 2025, or our argument was we've already heard that FAFSA is not going to be released by October 1. So all these institutions are working so hard and diligently to get all their data in by October 1. All the energy from Department of Education is going to be on FAFSA. And yet they're going to have all this data and they're just literally going to be sitting on this data and not going to do anything for a while anyway. So what's the rush on trying to get all this legislation, all this information in by the October 1st deadline? Many people were understanding and sympathetic. And so our goal, which is also the goal of NASFA, our sister association, who sent out a national survey, well, actually a national call to action to delay the implementation. So we're supporting our sister association is to delay it till 2025. Then we also spoke about the College Cost Reduction Act. This was specifically a Dr. Fox bill that passed out of committee out in the House, which we like. There's some great things in it. It includes reverse transfer, it doubles Pell Grant for juniors and seniors, repeals gainful employment and financial value transparency, would require student only pay back what they would have owed on a 10-year standard repayment plan. All really good things. However, the bill also has some poison pills, as we like to say. It would eliminate the FSEO program, eliminate the PLUS loan program. It would get rid of the 90-10 rule. Would also makes institution responsible for any outstanding bills that an individual does not pay, i.e. student loans. Establishes loan caps, and under the risk-sharing proposal that I just mentioned, NICO estimates that 86% of the institutions would be required to make a payment on an annual basis to Department of Education. And finally, and it also creates a post-secondary student data system, which as an institution or organization, we don't support. We definitely want to be at the table if there's discussion on it, but we overall don't support. While there are some things that we support within the legislation, overall, we feel that there are too many other poison pills for AACRAO, not for them to gonna be excuse me, harmful to institutions. So we encourage members not to support the legislation. And Janika, we went through that really fast in like 15 minutes.
Does anyone have any
Only give them the
questions?
task, right?
Does anybody have any questions? Did we bore everybody to death?
I did have one quick question. Is there a way to get not necessarily your slides, but maybe the House bill or the Senate bill and the ask that we can add this to exchange so that we can encourage advocacy?
Of course.
What if we sent you we have sheets that are the talking points we used for the houses in bullet point form. It has the request right at the bottom, hyperlinks off to like the bills and everything. I could share that PDF with you. Awesome. Okay, I'll send it your way.
And Janika, if I could take the opportunity to do my every time I talk to this group pitch, I would highly love it if we could have a government relations individual at each state and regional, so that state and regionals, we could have a monthly meeting about all of this that was transpiring, and then state and regionals could become engaged in all these areas, and also let their own individual members know. AACRAO is not an insular organization. We are a national practitioner association, and we have a tremendous voice. And sometimes we don't understand the power of our voice. And I have to say, I don't think that state and regionals understand the power of their individual voices with their own members of Congress and elected officials.
Thank you so much. This has been great. We just have a couple wrap-up things here. We have the leadership meeting dates already for 2025 and 2026. So they have the location and the dates. If you want to jot those down, and hopefully you can attend within the next few years. I think the next slide is the 2026 dates. We've only got 1 minute left, so I'll close with, we do have some more upcoming state and regional webinars. In August, we're going to do sort of a part 2 of this meeting and talk more about strategic planning for state and regional organizations and measuring your brand health. So please keep an eye out for that. In September, we're going to talk about vendor phobia and overcoming that challenge when you are setting up your own annual meetings. And then in October, we're going to be talking about unique programming ideas for state and regional organizations. So be on the lookout for those. We'll be posting a lot of these notes from today in Exchange and asking questions about what you want to see going forward. And I hope you all found this very helpful. I know I did, so thank you for attending.
Thanks, everyone.